All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's Strength and Powers. I've got a couple interesting stories for you guys today. The first story is going to be about Breon Ansley. So Breon posted an update to his Instagram where he did a video hitting a front double bicep pose with a vacuum pose. And this was an interesting video because in the past, Breon has been pretty critical or pretty outspoken about the fact that he doesn't believe the vacuum pose should be mandatory for classic physique, and he doesn't necessarily believe that the vacuum pose makes a physique more classic. And one of the bigger topics of conversation over the past couple years, since Breon and Chris Bumstead have been 1 and 2 at the Olympia in 17 and 18, and the fact that Bumstead could hit a very good vacuum pose, and that's one of the things he was known for, and Breon rarely hit a vacuum pose and seemingly chose not to hit a vacuum pose when he was on stage at the Olympia. One of the big topics of conversation was, could Breon actually hit a vacuum pose? And if he could, was it simply something that just didn't look very good on his physique, or was he simply not choosing to do so out of principle, that he didn't want to make the vacuum pose a big deal? And actually, based on this video, I don't see why Breon doesn't hit a vacuum pose on the Olympia stage. I think it actually looks pretty good on his physique. And bear in mind here, this is an off-season version of Breon Ansley. This is not Breon Ansley in Olympia shape by any means. And even with an off-season physique, he's still got a very deep vacuum pose, and he still looks very good as far as his taper is concerned. I think it looks good on his physique overall. And he also says in that post that he's put on 2 to 3 pounds of lean muscle, explaining how he thinks it'll make all the difference in the world and will appear to be an increase of 10 to 15 pounds. So honestly, you guys know how I feel about this. I think Breon should hit a vacuum pose, if not for any other reason, just because a lot of fans would like to see it on the classic physique stage. I agree with you guys that Breon does have a tremendously well-developed set of abs, very deep, great separation, and it really benefits him to hit a crunched abdominal front double bicep or hit a crunched abs and thighs type pose to show off that separation and detail in the abs. But at the same time, I think he looks really good with a vacuum pose too, and I think he could hit both. And I don't see any reason why during his freestyle posing routine he couldn't hit crunched abs and a vacuum pose, just sheerly for the fan enjoyment. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think Breon Ansley should hit a vacuum pose on the Olympia stage? And do you think it looks good on his physique in this particular video here? All right, so the next story that I have for you guys today is the most recent guest posing of Dexter Jackson. And I want to thank David Bay for sending me this HD video to use in this video. So this is the most recent guest posing that he did. This was at the Chris Cormier Classic, apparently weighing 265 pounds at roughly 17 weeks out from the Tampa Pro. So honestly, I actually think Dexter looks fantastic here for this point in his offseason. I think he looks like he's going to certainly be on track to be dialed in when he competes in August and then again in September at the Olympia. But of course, it is Dexter Jackson, and his nickname is the Blade for a reason. He's known for that trademark crazy conditioning. And I think even in this video, and even at this point in his offseason where he's still months and months and months out from actually competing, he still shows signs of relatively good conditioning. He's still got vascularity. He's still got separation. He's not just a complete bloated mess here. I think he's going to be very dangerous at the Tampa Pro. And it's still really a question of if we're going to see Dexter Jackson versus Big Ramy in Tampa. We still don't know with any certainty that Big Ramy is in fact going to be doing the Tampa Pro. But if he does, I think he's going to have trouble with Dexter Jackson. I think Dexter Jackson is really not messing around here. And Dexter's really coming for that title in Tampa. So if we do see Big Ramy compete at the Tampa Pro, I think Big Ramy and Dexter Jackson are going to have quite the battle on stage. And it's a battle they've had many times before. And I, for one, certainly hope we get to see that at the Tampa Pro in August of 2019. Now, next up in the news, we have some big Olympia news for you guys. So this actually came out of the New York Pro, which was sponsored by the Mr. Olympia, where Dan Solomon, who is the chief Olympia officer, made this revelation at the New York Pro. So the first major revelation here is that for the first time in Olympia history, all 8 Olympia Pro divisions will be crowned during the arena finals on Friday and Saturday. So in the main venue, all of the Olympia champions will be crowned on the main stage, whereas in the past, they've kind of divvied it up. Some were on the expo stage and some were on the main stage, and not everyone had the opportunity to compete on the main Olympia stage, and that's something they're changing this year to give everybody the opportunity to have that big Olympia moment on the main stage, which I think is actually a fantastic idea. And probably something they should have been doing from the beginning to give everybody kind of an equal chance to shine on that main stage, because that's really everybody's dream, and not to be relegated to the expo stage and feel less important than another division. And then the other revelation here was we knew that the Olympia was working closely with the promoters of the Wings of Strength female bodybuilding competition. And the second part of this announcement says that the prize money for the women's divisions will be it will be a higher amount of prize money than any other event in the history of the women's divisions. So I think the primary catalyst for that announcement is the fact that they're working with Wings of Strength, and these are people that feel very strongly about female bodybuilding and female competitors. And I think a lot of the money or promotion or backing for this increased prize money for the women will probably be as a direct result of the association of Wings of Strength and the Mr. Olympia, which I think will be interesting to see how much prize money exactly is given away, because in the past, some of these divisions, they do get really almost insulting amounts of prize money. And I would like to see some of that prize money, again, go to classic physique, to where these guys are getting more than, whatever it was last year, like 20 grand for the top 6 to split. I think was kind of ridiculous and insulting, and I would like to see more prize money go to divisions like classic physique or even 212. But I think starting with the women's division, better to start there than to never start at all. But I would like to see that money go elsewhere in addition to the women's divisions. I think they deserve more prize money as well, but I think priority should be taken with classic physique and 212, because they also get insulting amounts of money relative to men's open bodybuilders. All right, now the next story I want to talk about here was one that a lot of people were asking me about, and this is about Shawn Rhoden potentially having left his former trainer, Chris Psycho Fitness Lewis, who trained him for this past year's Olympia. We know that Psycho Fitness had left Gold's Gym earlier this year. There was some kind of controversy going on with him and Gold's, and that's why he left. But Shawn Rhoden posted a video today training with Charles Glass, which really raised the question of whether or not Shawn had left Psycho Fitness. Because it does appear that not only is Shawn training with Charles Glass and not his former trainer, but it does appear that they've kind of distanced themselves from each other. And Psycho Fitness is training at a different gym, hasn't posted any pictures or videos with Shawn. Shawn hasn't posted any pictures or videos with Psycho Fitness. So, a lot of people are jumping to the conclusion that they've kind of parted ways. And I don't think that conclusion is probably too far from the truth. I mean, there's been a couple of videos that Shawn Rhoden has posted now training with Charles Glass. So it does kind of appear like he's no longer working with Psycho Fitness. But I don't have confirmation on that for sure, and I do not know the reason why. But it's not really a surprise to me at all, whether it's a diet coach or a bodybuilding guru or a prep coach or an actual trainer in the gym. It's not unusual at all for these pro bodybuilders to jump back and forth and try different things, try different trainers, try different prep coaches. I mean, it's very, very common for pro bodybuilders to jump around, and it doesn't necessarily mean there's anything like bad blood or anything personal. A lot of times bodybuilders are trying to just figure out what works best for their body, if a different trainer can actually bring them in better. So it doesn't necessarily mean that Shawn Rhoden and Psycho Fitness had some kind of falling out or hate each other now, but I think it's just a common thing in bodybuilding for these guys to kind of jump around, and that's probably all there is to it. Now, the next story that I have for you guys today is Dorian Yates' brand new back tattoo, which is absolutely massive, which is fitting for Dorian Yates because he was known for having one of the best backs in bodybuilding history, which now showcases this tattoo masterpiece that he has. So he posted this picture with the caption, "Here is the complete back art project. It's been a mission of driving long hours and hours of pain, but it was shared with some good people." He tags the tattoo place. "An experience none of us will forget, inspired by my visions and information received during my ayahuasca experience at Solterra Healing Center. What would be your interpretation of my story? Best answer will receive a day training and lunch with yours truly, sponsored by DY Nutrition." So to be honest with you guys, I didn't even have to read that caption to know that this tattoo was a DMT themed or ayahuasca inspired tattoo, based on the conversations that we've heard Dorian Yates have on some of these podcasts like London Real and the Joe Rogan podcast, talking about the experiences that he's had with ayahuasca and DMT. And you look at this thing that's on his back, one of the things that he talked about in those interviews was all the geometric patterns that he would have when he had these visions while he was on the DMT trip. And you can clearly see, this lion image that he has on his back. The mane of the lion is made up by all these different geometric patterns and shapes. And that's what Dorian was, constantly saying that he saw when he had this ayahuasca experience. Then, of course, the other thing right in the center of the lion's head, You've got the third eye, which is probably representative of the pineal gland, which is what a lot of people feel is opened up when you have these ayahuasca experiences. And if you look at the Joe Rogan experience, their little thumbnail or what their little profile picture is, Joe Rogan has that same third eye on his head and his logo representing the pineal gland. So what I've found with bodybuilding fans is oftentimes they feel very strongly one way or another about tattoos. A lot of hardcore bodybuilding enthusiasts hate tattoos, while a lot of people love them. But overall, I actually think this tattoo is badass, and I like it on Dorian Yates. I think it's a really cool piece. All right, so that wraps it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed already. Thank you guys for watching, and I will leave you guys with this clip of this awesome Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.
And the only way to get the pump is by going beyond the point of failure. And it's the only way you're going to get size. It is the only way you're going to get your bicep to 23 inches. It is the only way you're going to win Mr. Olympia competition 7 times. And be the greatest bodybuilder that ever lived. It is the greatest achievement. I call my mother already. And I tell her I win it for the 8th time at the age of 65. She says, congratulations, Arnold. Of course I was lying. I lied. And when you get out of bed, you just need to get to the chopper. And when you get to the chopper, you know that if it bleeds, you can kill it. And that is how you get the arms to 23 inches.